Go ahead.
Respectfully, specifically on this particular topic, I don't give a shit what you give a shit about.
Oh, snap.
I'm going to say it twice so we know that I wasn't stuttering. I don't give a shit what you give a shit about.
Oh, this one's about to rattle some cages. StephenASmith just got called out hard by the Patrick Bet-David crew. They said he flip-flopped, folded, and faked his way into mega sympathy, and they didn't hold back. Now here's the twist. Stephen A. didn't take that lying down. He fired back with a vengeance. But did he prove them wrong or just expose himself further?
If you just go on YouTube, he posted a short clip of the clip. Like, you just go to his channel right there where you are. Just go to his channel and right there, my response. So this is towards Vinny. Vinny, brace for impact. And this, it even plays your clip of what you say.
Okay.
Let's hear this. Go for it, Rob.
Now let me spend the rest of my time getting into the Patrick Bet-David, folks, all right? This is before we get to your tweets. I want to address some sound that I heard from the Patrick Bet-David podcast regarding yours truly and my chances as a potential presidential candidate. Listen to this, please.
I like Stephen A. I like the sports talk, and you know, he's a great freaking. He's the best in the game.
You're not with it. You're not.
I'm not
just
buying,
because he didn't vote for Trump and support him?
Not vote. No, it's the flip flop of every single person.
You're calling Stephen A. a flip flopper.
Every single one of these guys that were on the left, every guys go now, from the Chanks to the Stephen A's to the Chris Cuomo's to all these people. I'm not buying it at all, okay? And you say this all the time, it's the market. What does the market want? They're shifting because of the market. Listen, with all due respect, I'm not buying none of that shit from none of them, okay? Because they were still on Kamala, They were still on Biden, They're still on that anti-American bullshit sentiment. Because if you want to put in people like Biden and you want to put in people like if you voted for Kamala Harris,
which he did,
what the hell do you even stand on? What was your thing? Just not Trump. So it just shifted. All that Trump hating, he's the worst, he's Hitler. I'm not saying Steven said this, but all of them were anti-Trump. We've been saying Trump is this guy since when? Since 2016, we've had this guy's back. And it's not just blind loyalty, Tom. It wasn't that. It was the proof in the pudding. He came in with Russia collusion, Obama and all these guys freaking spying on him. He had all this shit. He had COVID. He had all this stuff, a Russian asset, all that bullshit Putin talk. Sorry. All right? And then now he's back.
Robert,
everybody voted for him. And
guys,
have I said anything wrong?
Watch this. Go ahead.
Respectfully, specifically on this particular topic, I don't give a shit what you give a shit about.
Oh, snap.
I'm going to say it twice so we know that I wasn't stuttering. I don't give a shit what you give a shit about as it pertains to this particular subject. Because the one here that is at least somewhat wrong, but clearly devoid of empathy or compassion or understanding is you.
In other news, Florida residents are going to be happy to hear this.
I don't have the.
We have to watch a commercial.
Sorry.
You don't have the what?
Now, before I get any further,
that was a nice little promo for Miami.
I love Vinny. I do.
Yeah.
As I do Adam, as I do Tom, as I do Patrick Bet-David. And in the interest of full disclosure, before I get any further, I got a lot of love for them and their podcast. But I got a lot of love on a personal level for a guy by the name of Patrick Bet-David, the leader of that crew, who's become a great friend and somebody that has helped me, and I'll put it out on Front Street. He was one of the people that I was receiving advice from when I was negotiating a couple of my contracts.
That's awesome.
So I have a personal affinity and affection for that man, and Adam too. And Adam, I got love for Adam too. That's my brother.
It's a different
Vinny.
We go out in these streets.
This is directed to you. Could you calm down, please?
You saying to Vinny?
Yeah.
Because you act like we had to have voted against Trump for the specific reasons that you're articulating.
Good word.
The border is a primary issue with you. We understand that. So how could anybody possibly vote for Kamala Harris? Well, what if their issue wasn't the border? What if their issue was avoiding chaos? What if their issue was not wanting a president in office that was willing to pad his own wallets and his own coffers while being the statesman that sits in the presidency of the United States of America? What if the priority wasn't safety in the streets? What if the priority was that they were for woke culture? There's a bevy of reasons. Why are you acting like everybody has to be a monolith, like they have to be of one set of thinking and of one mind in order to vote this way? I watched the whole episode with you and Patrick Bet-David and Adam and Tom. Patrick Bet-David, PBD, the man himself, asked you specifically, all three of them, what was your top two priorities for the election? Each of y'all gave a different answer.
That's right.
You talked about the economy. PBD talked about woke culture. Tom talked about safety in the streets. I'm sorry, the producer, behind the scenes. Talked about safety in the streets. Adam talked about the borders. And I forgot what else. And I'm sorry if I forgot the other part about you, Vinny. But the point is, all of y'all had different reasons. It's America. You're going to have different beliefs. So what? Now let's get to me. Because I'm who you were talking about, that you lumped in with other people, even though I do appreciate you pointing out that I didn't say those incendiary things about President Trump. I appreciate that, seriously. And I got nothing but love for you. We just disagreeing on this particular issue. I'm not monolithic in my thinking. We live in a binary system. There's shit I didn't like about both of them. I have always been against woke culture. I have always been against open borders. I'm totally aligned with Patrick Bet-David on the issue of woke culture and parental influence or lack thereof that the administration and the left were trying to impose upon the will of the American people. How dare them? They were wrong.
Rob, you can pause at this point.
Okay.
Vinny, by the way, he's on fire.
I love it. And he's the one that said, calm down to me. Yeah. He said, calm down. He's about to have a heart attack.
Yeah, you're calmed down now, boy.
Are you ready for this? And again, Stephen, I love you too, bro. And again, when I see you hug, it's all good. But you were against all that. You were against that. You were against the border. You're against the woke culture. But where were you at for the 4 years? I'm just very curious. I'm hoping you could articulate. Where were you for those 4 years? You were just on the sideline. You weren't saying anything. You said on this show that you would rather have a president with dementia than Trump.
StephenASmith started strong. He came out hard, but around the midpoint of the video, Stephen A is clearly on the defensive. He's throwing out every reason in the book why he didn't back Trump back then, saying he wanted to avoid chaos, claiming he didn't want corruption in office. Didn't like that tone. But let me ask you this. What's more chaotic than an open border? Inflation through the roof and the U.S. being embarrassed on the world stage? Because that's what we got. And now all of a sudden, Stephen A sounds mega adjacent. Yeah. Nah. It's not adding up. Then the PBD crew hits him with a real gut punch. Where were you for 4 years? Boom. Exactly. These folks went from calling Trump dangerous and racist to suddenly realizing, oh wait, he might have actually been right. So I definitely understand where Vinny's coming from.
Think about what that says. And now we're seeing everything that happened with all the policies and everything with him. And it's fine. We all have different opinions. We all see different things. But my question is, where were all these people at? You, Cuomo, everybody. Now it's cool to talk positive about Trump. Everybody loves Trump. You've called Trump a racist, a sexist, multiple times on air. You said Trump being president would be dangerous and would put Americans at risk. Have you apologized for all those things that you said? For making all these people worried that Trump was going to be this guy? Like, and then
wait, does a voter have to apologize? Does a voter, hang on, he said some people didn't want chaos, and it sounded like Stephen A was talking about that was his issue.
But people
didn't want chaos.
Yeah, but Stephen A is more than a voter, Tom. He's a voter with a massive megaphone.
Well, guess what? We all are, many of us are, right?
Not many. A few of us are.
Well, there's an awful lot of people that are in the pod space where that the megaphones and the influence is a hell of a lot bigger than mainstream media. And thank God we have the freedom of speech that for that ecosystem to have grown up.
True, but there's only a few
does Stephen A. have to apologize for saying I didn't want chaos or I was objectively reacting to this? I don't think he does.
Well, here's my thing though. Well, okay, Tom, here's my thing. Kamala Harris wins the presidency, or even Biden wins, and now they do the old switcheroo. Is Stephen A. and all these people going to be pointing out all the stuff that they're pointing out now about their party?
He talked about woke, and he said they were wrong. Isn't there a small bridge to say when you wake up afterwards and you say, I was wrong about that?
I'm not 100% Tom, but what I'm saying...
A lot of people say that. I've said that.
But here's my question, too, and answer me. I want an honest question. If Kamala Harris is the president right now, is Stephen A. Smith saying any of this stuff that he's saying now? Is he saying anything, or is he staying quiet like he did for 4 years?
What do you mean saying stuff?
About everything. About what do you mean? About the border? About woke? About everything? Because
he's been pretty clear about woke. Let's be honest.
When did it happen? When did it happen?
He's got a daughter that's in school. He's talked about a parent. We were all at dinner, and he and I talked about that.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
Do you remember when he was on The View and he talked about the mandate? And the one girl, Joy Behar, was like, wow, it's not even close. He goes, listen up, woman.
Yeah, but when was this?
Hear me out.
When was this? Well,
this is after the election.
Trump won. That's my point.
But yes,
Trump already won.
Yeah, that's like...
To be fair.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, you had a prediction of who was going to win the game. Okay, he's betting on the Knicks. Turns out that Oklahoma City won. All right, my bad, I bet on the Knicks. But let me explain why Oklahoma City won. All he had to do was look at it and say, listen, I understand why Trump won. Everyone has different reasons. He went down the different reasons that we all had.
Fine.
Different strokes for different folks. But recognize the fact that he recognized of why Trump won. He recognized there was a mandate.
Okay.
He recognized that every single basically district flipped Republican. He recognized the fact that Trump won every single swing state. He recognized that, my bad, I called it wrong. So here's my mea culpa.
Yeah.
And, let me apologize for this. Okay, it's not like he's doubling down.
No, of course not.
Would it not be worse if he was doubling down, basically saying, Trump sucks, why is he in office? I actually got to give him respect to say, you know what? Maybe I was wrong for voting for Kamala. Here's what the American people want. Here's what the American people want to see. They do want to see an end to woke culture. They do want to see.
Where was it?
They want to see.
Where was? Because
you're asking where was it before? He wasn't there yet. Give somebody the humility and the grace and the respect
do you think
to evolve.
Do you think? That's totally fine, and I do. Adam, please come to the other side. No, you're finally awake.
You're calling him out.
I'm calling
for what he did in the past.
No,
what about what he's doing now?
No, I'm just curious, Adam. The border was wide open. Okay,
that was my number one issue.
Women were children were getting raped and getting freaking murdered and thrown in ditches. Just like
it's not like he was approving of that.
COVID, lockdowns, everything. I'm just curious because we were talking about it. Where were all these people at when it was really a problem? What I'm saying is, once Trump wins, everybody change their tunes. I'm not lying, Stephen.
Would you rather them not change their tune?
Was what I said a lie? That all these guys switched and now they started becoming vocal about it. So you're pretending like they were dumb and they didn't know the border was open? They didn't know all the woke shit? Hold on. They didn't know. Adam, you make it as if Trump won and everybody went, oh, the border. It's open. People, that's bullshit. That's a weak-ass argument.
Because you're making up actually a very good point.
Thank you.
And this is why I very, very much encourage people to get their news from different sources and different outlets. Because if you're only getting your media from left, MSNBC, CNN, you literally have a completely different distorted reality than people who are watching anyone from Fox News or reading Breitbart. For years, because I was watching, for the most part, CNN, I had no idea that they had gone off the Richter scale. I just didn't, because they were basically fair and balanced under Ted Turner. I was like, yeah.
And it's official. They're for sale and they're going to be spun out by
Trump's a Russian asset. And anybody with just a logical brain be like, oh my God, look at all this evidence here. Turns out the media was freaking lying the whole freaking time.
Yeah.
But you didn't know this. Mm-hmm. So this is why I encourage to get a diverse opinion of views. This is why people respect our show so much, because we'll battle it out. What is one of our four major pillars? Debate. This is where you find the truth. You're not going to see this on Stephen A. Smith arguing with someone like this on a typical network.
No.
Now they got Scott Jennings on CNN. Thank goodness.
That's the only savior.
To basically own CNN. But a lot of people get their media outlet from one source, and they just live in their echo chambers. And by the way, it's true on both sides. It's true on both sides. So you're asking, well, why did they know about this? It's because people on the left are basically saying, no, we need the open borders. We have to have all the newcomers come into the country. And they're fed a crock of lies. Exactly.
Look, I hear what Adam's saying about people living in echo chambers and only getting their news from one source. But that doesn't hold water when it comes to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith isn't some clueless commentator. He's sharp, calculated, and media savvy. He knows how to read between the lines. So let's be real. His silence on the failures of the Biden administration wasn't about being misinformed. It was intentional. He played it safe to protect his career. And now that the tide is turning, he's trying to walk the fence. That's not courage. That's self-preservation.
So I understand why people have this distorted sense of reality, and it's the same on both sides.
Yeah.
PBD, I feel like you want to.
I love this. To me, you just heard it from 3 of the 10 different people in America. That's what you just heard. There's a faction of people that are fully with Vinny. Okay? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that became you. I have clips of you from 4 years ago. You're never going to make me vote for Trump. You are never going to make me vote for Trump. Okay? Guess what? You may be the biggest, you may be now, and I know you are, but this guy may be in a very different way, a bigger supporter than you are. Let me tell you, because to him, the way you are with Epstein and 9/11, all this stuff, he's not there. Mm-hmm. So to him, he's more like, no, I like the way he's getting the job done. Adam may be a bigger Trump supporter than you today, as weird as it sounds. I know that's going to sound weird to you. Yeah. He may be a bigger supporter today. So where am I going with this? And then there's Stephen A., where Stephen A. is the most famous person in sports broadcasting. There's nobody more famous than him. That is what he's done. So in his space, he's the best of the best, right? Yep. So for him to be a mainstream guy, still working in mainstream, he's not a mainstream guy that's left and started his own podcast and is not tied to me. He is in mainstream prior to getting his big check, is being this vocal about politics, and the contract isn't signed. Yeah. Vinny, let me tell you, I've been there when I started PBD Podcast and a contract and a company wasn't sold, and I'm talking politics. Everyone told me on the money side, don't do it. Mm-hmm. It could cost you a lot of money. And he did that before getting the bag? I don't know. That's tough for him to do that. And then now where he's saying what he's saying, I'm actually okay with it. The only thing I tell him is the fact that when he runs, if he chooses to run as a Democrat, they will all be friends with him until they realize they can't control him. They will destroy him. They will try to destroy every aspect of his life. And then eventually he's going to say, I'm going to go to the other side. But then you come to the other side, then you're going to get a job versus actually running. When you run from the beginning and saying, after everything I thought about, these 2 areas I agree with Democrats. I am black. As a black man who was raised by a strong mother, these are my values and principles that I'm not compromising. And when it comes down to this, I relate to Democrats on this. But on these 7 issues, I just relate more to independents and as a Republican. And I'm a center-right guy. So I'm at a point right now that I can't see myself running as a person on the left. I see myself running as a center-right. The other day, some story came out saying, I don't know, if you go on his Instagram account, he posted something. There's a free agency position available right now on the left. You know what that position is? Guess what job everybody wants?
On the left.
On the left. There's one job that's available. You know what that job is? Go to the top, Rob.
Is it Joe Rogan on the left?
That's the Joe Rogan. That's it. Oh, wow. Stephen A. Smith is running to be Joe Rogan. Okay? So is he going to be the Joe Rogan on the left? They won't let you. They won't let you. Because it's, in order to be the Joe Rogan of the left, you have to be willing to entertain opposing ideas. You know, you got to have Crockett come in. You got to have those people come in. You got to have these people come and want to talk to you.
He'll do it.
Patrick says it straight. The moment Stephen A. becomes uncontrollable by the left, they'll come for him. And guess what? He's right. The moment you speak truth on that side, the second you start asking questions, they'll try to cancel you into silence. And I think Vinny is right. If Trump didn't win, and if Kamala was president, he wouldn't be calling them out right now, Stephen. So maybe this isn't even about Trump anymore. Maybe it's about who actually has the guts to tell the truth when it's not convenient. So here's the question. Is Stephen A. waking up or just rebranding? Drop a comment and let me know. Was the PBD crew out of line, or did they just say what we've all been thinking? Smash that like if you're tired of flip-floppers. Hit subscribe if you want more content that calls out the BS and keeps it real.